Okay, well, hello everybody. It's BDevine. It is Monday, the 16th of February, and it's 2 days after Valentine's Day, obviously, where everyone goes bananas and no one really understands where it has come from. Now, I have been doing this work for a really, really long time, but to be honest, I've never really looked too much into Valentine's Day. My husband and I haven't bothered celebrating Valentine's Day because our anniversary is on the 20th of February. So we just wait till the 20th of February and go do what we're going to do, right? But I've always had a funny kind of energy with it because, as you know, part of my work has been doing healing therapies with people. And I am telling you that so many people come to me around that time of year and they have what they call seasonal depression. And it usually starts stemming from this particular holiday, which people get over the top about what they got and start showing off about it all and making other people feel insecure and horrible, especially if you're in a position in your life where you don't have somebody special, or as one of my friends in Australia, it's a day where she lost her husband on Valentine's Day, right? So today I just want to go over this, and I also have talked about Christmas and Easter's coming up and all of these things. These are not things that my husband are going to personally celebrate any of this stuff, okay? But I will explain to you why, and it is up to everybody how they do things. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the history of Valentine's Day, this is it. Okay, a holiday that isn't what it says it is. All right. It is sold to us all as a celebration of love. But if you watch what happens on this day, it looks less like a love feast and more like a pressure ritual. A day on the calendar where you're told that, prove that you're worthy of love, prove your relationship is good, prove you're not failing at romance, right? And if you don't participate, you're labeled cold, unromantic, or broken. Now, I was even watching somebody who, I actually know this person. I'm not going to call them out by name or anything like that, but they were saying, that you should be, all these certain things should be checked off of the list that should happen to you on that day. It's too much. Okay, so so in this video, and I'll keep to my notes so I can stay on track. In this video, we're going to take Valentine's Day apart, gently but honestly. So what is really underneath all these hearts and roses? You're going to be pretty shocked here, where it actually came from, what it's doing to people psychologically as well, and why I don't celebrate it at all. And I always knew something was off. It's not about being a cheapskate or whatever. I'm just as willing to spoil my husband anytime he wants, right? Not just Valentine's Day, but I just don't have any interest in it. So here. All right. So the old bones under the holiday. Mid-February is already ritual season. First important point that I've got to make here is that Valentine's Day did not appear out of nowhere as a love day. Long before cards, roses, social media, mid-February was already a ritual window, okay? In the Roman world, once again, good old Romans and Greeks, right? In the Roman world, the period is associated with purification, fertility, and resetting the city's energy. Okay, resetting the city's energy. So in other words, there is a festival called Lupercalia. This is where Valentine's Day actually originates from, is a festival called Lupercalia, which is held on February 15th. And it was a pastoral, city-wide rite tied to purification, health, and fertility. So already mid-February is about cleansing, body, survival, and future life. Not chocolates, not Instagram stories, not roses, not how much you got, and your partner doesn't love you if they haven't got you this amazing package, and you should be taken here and you should be taken there. No, it was about purification, health, and fertility. But wait, what it actually looked like wasn't very good. During Lupercalia, priests called the Luperci gathered at the Lupercal cave. Again, you can look all this up, near the Palatine Hill in Rome, and they sacrificed goats and, in some accounts, a dog. Then they cut strips from the skin and ran around parts of the city, touching and striking and slapping people, especially women, with these thongs, symbolically. These thongs as a symbolic act meant to purify and promote fertility. The priests get together, they sacrificed animals, they took strips off those animals and ran around the city, slapping mostly women with the skins. This was public, okay, this was physical, this was civic. And the pattern is, we're in the dead of winter, we're anxious about health and future harvests, so let's reset our luck, let's get it all done and call life back in. But we're going to use the death of these animals to do it. So it was a blood ritual. No candlelit dinner, table for two. No fancy going to hotels, no holidays, no nothing. It was just about survival of the community in their eyes, right? And this is from Encyclopedia Britannica, okay? And in February, it's known as a purification month, right? So even that name comes from February, related to purification tools and rites. You can find that out on Wikipedia. So mid-February has always carried an undertone of cleansing blood, a sense of let's clear what's stagnant before a new cycle. But you're feeling that anywhere around this time of year, whether you celebrate Valentine's or not, right? You're feeling that. You want to clear things. You want to start things fresh. So the first layer, the threshold month, cultures have always marked thresholds with ritual, okay? Then it transitions. History moves. Empires change. Religions rise. The church begins overlaying its own calendar onto existing seasonal patterns. And that's where we meet the next layer, Saint Valentine. This is what most of you think, Saint Valentine. And this is where it gets so much messier, okay? So Saint Valentine and the invention of Love Day. Here's what most people don't know. Saint Valentine is not one clean, well-documented person with a clear love story, okay? There were several early Christian martyrs named Valentine or Valentinus, associated with different places like Rome and Tournai. Accounts describe martyrdom, healings, defying imperial orders, but nothing that looks like he gave out pink cards and married couples in a gazebo. Over time, legends accumulated. A priest marrying lovers in secret, cutting hearts from parchment to remind persecuted Christians of divine love. These are later devotional stories, not documented or eyewitness accounts either. But in AD 496, this is something else you can look it up on Encyclopedia Britannica. Pope Gelasius the First designated February 14 as the feast day of Saint Valentine, that anchors the name Saint Valentine's Day in the calendar. So you'll often hear people say the church replaced Lupercalia, the goat ritual, the blood rites, with Valentine's Day. But historians and scholars point out that this is not a clean, directly proven swap. There's, excuse me, a timing overlap. There's later commentary, but the evidence for a deliberate one-to-one replacement is thin. So what is solid? What is solid about all of this? There's a Christian Martyrs Feast on February the 14th, and at this stage it is not yet the global romance holiday that we know. So romance apparently shows up later in the 14th century, long time after 496 AD, right? In the 14th century, the English poet Geoffrey Chaucer writes about Saint Valentine's Day as a time when birds choose a mate, and in his poem Parliament of Fowls, tying February 14th to pairing and love in the popular imagination. But this is crucial. The association between Valentine's Day and romantic love emerges in medieval literature and court culture. It's a cultural assignment, not a early eternal divine decree, right? So now what? We have a seasonal threshold of purification and fertility, blood ritual. We have a Saint's Day feast and a growing romance overlay through poetry and social games and around love and courtship. So the modern love holiday is built on all three. Now, how this turned into a performance machine is pretty easy to see. So, as printing and postal systems expand, we start seeing written valentines exchanged, short notes, poems, tokens, right? In the 19th century, especially in Victorian Britain and America, Valentine's Day becomes an industry. In the US, a woman named Esther Howland is often named the mother of the American Valentine for popularizing elaborate, mass-produced Valentine's cards, lace cutouts, layered designs that were just sold everywhere. And so you go from a personal poem or note to a whole business model built around one day. Chocolates, flowers, cards, etc. So it just becomes a sales spell. By the time you reach the modern era, Valentine's Day is greeting cards, flowers, as I said, chocolate, jewelry, restaurant bookings, hotels, this, that, the other, being spoiled. And now you have to have social media proof as well. You don't have to, but a lot of people live this way. Retailers talk openly about Valentine's Day as a key sales period. The entire environment and the pressure put on people to buy things for their partner, or you don't love them or something. Ads, displays, campaigns is designed to nudge you into performing love through spending. So the system looks like attach love to a specific date, attach the date to specific products, attach your worthiness and relationship status to how you perform on that day. And that is not love. That is behavioral conditioning. Believe me, I fell into it all for a long time. I used to do readings for Valentine's Day and all this because we just get so used to these certain holidays, right? But I never really looked into it. No wonder I didn't want to do it. Okay, so the pressure trap. This is what psychology research is showing. Again, you can look all of this up as well. Psychologists and relationship researchers are talking more and more about what this actually does to people. Believe me, I know. Suicidal people acting out and lashing out at me because of what's happening with their relationship. The relationship itself failing, so the person's buying more. like wanting to get treated in a certain way, because in girls, this is what happens sometimes. You want your partner to prove that they love you because you're seeing the proof from other people's relationships, right? Or so you think. So again, recent articles and studies mention that Valentine's Day can feel like a relationship performance review. People evaluate each other's romantic effort based on one day. A trigger for heightened expectations, uncertainty, and grief, even in otherwise stable relationships, right? A source of anxiety and disappointment across all attachment styles because of the pressure to get it right, and how often reality falls short of that. You don't have the money to do these things, you know. You don't have the availability to be able to pour everything into this stupid day. You know, every day should be a love day between you and your partner. Every day you should express to each other how you feel, do things for each other, care for each other. That means more than a bunch of dying flowers, right? But social media adds this other layer. And I've had people say, what did you get from Bobby for Valentine's Day? And it's nobody's business. We just don't do it. As I said, we've always just worried about our anniversary, which is on the 20th, right? So a source of anxiety and disappointment across all attachment styles because of the pressure to get it right, as I said, and often how this reality falls short. So social media, okay. Soon on the surface, it's a love holiday. On the surface, it's a love holiday, but underneath, it often acts as a magnifier of insecurity, a disguised comparison ritual. I mean, come on. A day when unspoken issues are shoved into the spotlight with no tools to actually work them through. So people will be grieving, missing their partner, or going through a breakup, or going through something, and feel like they have to do, like, keep on airs because everybody else is all lovey-dovey or whatever. When you don't have a relationship, this is pushed upon you when you've had a breakup, etc., right? And I was telling you about someone I know who lost their husband on that day, which means every time it comes around, it's a big dread. If she lets it, but it's still a big dread, right? So what does this mirror in us? We go beyond history and into the inner mechanics here. So Valentine's Day can act as an attachment mirror as well. This one date tends to amplify whatever attachment patterns that you carry already. So this is my take on things here. If you're anxious already, you may obsess about what your partner will do, fear that they're going to fail the test, or feel abandoned if they don't perform it perfectly. If you're an avoidant personality, you may feel suffocated by expectations, withdraw or downplay and avoid the vulnerability. If you're secure, you might simply use it as a fun extra. But even secure people can feel the pressure of doing it right because of how loud the social script is, right? The research on Valentine's Day and relational stress backs this up. Hype plus expectation equals anxiety, especially if your internal model of love is already shaky. So Valentine's Day becomes an attachment X-ray. It shows you where your nervous system still believes still believes love must be earned, proven, or performed. So underneath this reaction, underneath all of these things is to look also about what did you learn about love when you were a child. Did you learn that it was conditioned on good behavior, items, gifts, making yourself useful? Did you learn that love is loud and dramatic, or quiet and never spoken of, never shown, right? Did you learn that love means sacrifice without reciprocity? This day triggers those old programs. If you are lovable, someone will show up today in a big way. If nobody's coming for you on Valentine's Day, then you're unlovable, ugly, you don't deserve it, etc. Whatever you might tell yourself. Okay? So people who are single, are in conflict, are in subtle emotional neglect, can feel this day is a wound being pressed on, right? Making it worse. It's not the date itself, but it's what the date activates in your own history. So, looking from an energetic, symbolic perspective, the old Lupercalia energy is about purging, blood, killing, fertility in some way. Maybe they were thinking about the health of the collective, the health of the whole city. This is what we got to do. That's what they knew. The saint layer adds themes of sacrifice, devotion, and faith under pressure. The romance layer adds idealization, longing, fantasy. The commercial layer adds transaction, proof, and comparison. So now you're getting a day that runs on sacrifice your truth and your money to uphold a fantasy of love while ignoring what your body and heart are actually saying. This is why the day feels so intense for many people, because it pulls on that need to belong, a fear of being alone, the memory of every time love was withheld, conditional or fake. When I say I don't celebrate it, it's not a random preference. It is a refusal to plug into that energetic stack. Don't want to know about it. So, what do I do instead? Okay, so I don't do love on a schedule. On someone else's schedule, what I'm supposed to be doing, or what I feel that I have to do. No. Love to me is not an exam. The most important acts of care are usually the small, consistent ones, right? Not the once a year performance. And I don't expect my husband to do anything of the kind. I don't agree to any obligation spells, any ritual that runs on this guilt, comparison, or fear as being seen as less than. It's not going to be a ritual that I'm going to feed. I'm not. I don't accept the purchase proof model. It doesn't need a receipt. My love doesn't need a receipt, a photo, or an audience. It's just always there. Okay. I work with sovereign love, love that honors free will, truth, and reality, not fantasy, pressure, scripts. Okay. So, how to sort of reclaim this, what to do instead. So, this time of the year can be a personal and relational recalibration window. So you're purifying the heart field. You're sitting with this energy of, where might I be overdoing something? How do I really feel about this? If you're on your own and you want to have a lasting relationship, you've really got to understand what love means to you, right? Is it what someone can give you financially? Or, you know, like what do you really, because my mum was always like, you know, you can't be too capable. You need to let a man look after you. You must make sure you marry someone with money, etc. And I'd be like, why? Why can't I have these things myself? You know, why can't I strive to have things? And so with don't be too capable, what she was saying is that, you know, I'm pretty much a jack of all trades. I can do just about anything. You tell me how to do something, I can do it, right? Physically, like anything, like whatever it is, job at work, whatever. And I'll just excel because I really get excited about, you know, learning something and then being able to do it. Like, show me how to do it, I'll do it, right? So she saw that as me being too capable of everything, and she saw men as needing to be the caretakers. So it was almost like she was saying to me, well, men prefer you to be dumb, they prefer you to be unable to do anything so they can take care of it all and feel adequate, which is a backward version of you know, strength, right? It's a backward version of what the actual relationship really is. So I had to go through my own sort of examination about who I am, and you know, what love is to me, and you know, how I feel. And I always felt uneasy about saying, don't really like this Valentine's Day thing, and you know, I'm quite happy to give or whatever, but I don't want to be feeling like it's never enough, or it could be more, or I wish I had, or whatever, feeling that pressure, you see. And I didn't want my partner, my husband now, to feel anything like that either. So if you ask yourself those real questions, how were you taught about how to be, right? How have you gone the opposite way? You know, do you look up to someone? Was there a relationship that maybe it wasn't your parents, but maybe like an aunt or uncle or something, where you're like, now that's what I call love? If there was something like this, then you know, you have something to go by within yourself, right? Something that you feel is right. Some people do love to be lavished with gifts and lavish other people back, and that's their life, and that's cool if that makes you happy. However, instead of gifts and instead of all of these things, understand what this is doing, how this is commercialized, how this is just a false thing, right? And instead of gifts, have a conversation, right? Where are we actually at? What feels good? What doesn't feel right? What do we both need? What would we really like? What about our goals, like for the future? Now, ancestors and lineage. Light a candle for the ones before you. Maybe they never got to choose love freely, right? Maybe it was chosen for them. You know, choosing a clean connection. Maybe you're doing something for yourself. So I spend about an hour on myself every morning doing my skincare and my face and my hair and getting myself organized, where I never used to before. And I do now, and that taking that time for the self, it shows, right? So if you're doing something, then looking after yourself, you're having an hour where there's no phone, you're just focused on you. You're doing something that feeds your body, your nervous system stabilizes you, brings you joy. There's not a performance for anything. So something nobody needs to see those extras but yourself. And for me, a true love day is any day that you tell the truth kindly, even if it's scary, respect your no, offer someone real presence without a scoreboard, choose not to repeat an old pattern that hurts as well. So if you did want a ritual of some kind, let it be a day where you refuse to abandon yourself for the sake of appearance. So this is everybody is capable of making the decisions that they want. Everybody is capable of having a Valentine's Day and loving it. They love Valentine's Day. That's awesome. Okay. But if you understand what it really is, for me, it's not a very nice story, what it really is in many accounts. But understand that it's not about ancient romance anyway. It's about purification rites, a confusing saint story, medieval court scripts, a massive commercial machine, a lot of unhealed human attachment going behind it. And I don't celebrate it because I don't need a system to tell me when and how to love. But I do use this time of year as a checkpoint where, you know, you might still be begging for crumbs from somebody, where you're still performing, where you're still confusing drama for love. So you're allowed to step out of the Valentine's Day program, right? You're allowed to choose truth over performance, presence over proof, and real love over this ritual pressure every day of the year. So I have got more that I want to talk about with different things. It will eventually come up. But I really wanted to look at this Valentine's Day and just step back from it. I had a cute little, two little teddy bears with love hearts, 15-second little video that I had from last year, and I just put something really quick like, I love you always, or something to my husband. I see people write these big, massive books about how much they love their partner or whatever, and I see that as a massive red flag, you know. The more someone explains something, the more bullshit it is. Think about that, okay? The more someone has given you some kind of thing to, in your personal lives where you get a big story, think about it, okay? So someone comes home, the bigger the story, where have you been? Big, big, big story. More of a lie that it is, okay? Same with like posts, when someone posts how much they love their children and it's constant, and how much they love their partner and it's all the time, and it's a huge long, you know, book of what it is, the less that it's true. And that's sad, but that's actually the truth. When you start to delve into things that we've just always just thought, okay, this is what we do in February, and this is what we do at Christmas, and this is what we do at Easter, and this is what we do on our birthdays and all of that. Once you start looking into the actual darkness behind it, you may not want to do it anymore for the sake of just saying, right? In my work and dealing with, you know, so many people, thousands and thousands of people, no exaggeration, after all of these years, okay? And every time February's coming up, there are people who are absolutely struggling in one way or another. Or they say they don't want anything for Valentine's Day, but then they get annoyed if they actually don't get anything, right? Because they were expecting someone to give anyway, to give to them and appreciate them, when it should be a daily occurrence. Now, everyone can believe whatever they want to believe. Like, nope, I don't, it's nothing to me, right? The pressure though, the commercialization of it, everyone's hurrying to go out to dinner, everyone's hurrying to have this thing. Who do you think benefits? Do you think you benefit from that? People who have these sales at certain times of the year, who is that for you? Is that in honor of somebody else? Because they're not the person, the somebody else that's being honored is not the person making the money, are they? So let's just round this up, which is what I had previously. Okay. So Valentine's Day, again, isn't just an ancient day of true love. That's not what it started as. It's a layered construct. Mid-February was originally a seasonal threshold. So let's see it, if you see it that way, you know, it's usually mid-winter or mid-summer, okay, depending on where you live. And you're like, by the time I get to the other side of this, I'm getting closer to the next season. So, you know, let's put good tidings into that for the next part of my life. So if you're stepping into this, and we're also stepping into an eclipse coming up here in Aquarius, right, which takes us back to 2018 when we had this eclipse in Aquarius as well. What were you doing in 2018? Maybe focusing on the changes that you've made from then to then, so that you're not repeating mistakes, perhaps, right? So we know that it mid-February was this threshold part for purification. The church stamped a confusing saints feast over that timing. Medieval poets rebranded it into a romance script, and modern commerce converted it into performance and purchase ritual. The result is a yearly pressure test, is what it feels like. I hear it, I see it. Everyone's going nuts about Valentine's Day. Attachment wounds, comparison, while pretending to celebrate love. And I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day because I refuse love on command. Obligation spells and the idea that love must be proven with receipts. It's not how it works. Instead, I use this time as a personal checkpoint for myself, a relational recalibration. I reset the house. So my husband and I were going around. We just did this massive sort of clear, and everything gets aired out and all that stuff. Even though it's not really spring yet, it's sort of like bringing in that spring clean energy here, and practicing a connection. So he and I, after we'd done all what we needed to do, we were able to relax outside in the sunshine and just soak it all up with the dogs and just chill out with some music, etc. And we're just choosing, our own peaceful day, clearing old programs, practicing presence, right? Meaning presence with each other, not giving presents to each other, right? So, St. Valentine's, Leia, there's just too much murky information about that. The commercial machine, as I said, the Victorian cards, the modern roses, the chocolate, the jewelry, the date night, the hotels, the going here, the going there, the being spoiled. Day functions as an obligation economy and sales cycle. The psychological impact of this is it acts like a relationship performance review, like where people are sort of like checking off, well, I saw that this person got that, and that. How come I didn't, what, you don't love me or something, right? People who are unhealed do all that sort of stuff. Triggers, attachment words, comparing, anxiety, social media pressure, amplification of this pressure, an energetic pattern. There are people out there that will literally sit there on Valentine's Day making a crappy video to make you feel sorry for them. So there's that kind of energy as well. Yeah, so I use this time of the year as having a heart-to-heart, having a reset of the home, resetting my goals, like focusing on, what we're doing as a couple, what we're doing individually, how that looks, what changes we want to make, drawing up plans, for example, and we're honoring, this devotion of the selves, repairing or releasing any issues that might be there just in how you see love or past relationships or whatever might be there, and just creating love days, like every day is the same sort of sensation or improving on it, right? So it isn't a love holiday, it's a layered ritual of presence, obligation, pressure, and profits for others, right? From Roman purification rites to medieval romance scripts and modern sales cycles, the day has been built to program how you prove love. I don't celebrate it, I choose sovereign love, no obligation to anything other than ourselves. No purchase proof, we simply just don't care. Just truth, presence with each other, not presence as in buying something, and real connection any day, any time of the year. So I just wanted to go over that with you all and look at that in a way like as in flame sovereignty. We do know that there were the introduction of many different types of holidays and connections with darker things that are covered up in this way, and we know that that's part of the infiltration of numbing us out to who we really are. And in this new era, as we move forward, we're going to have less and less need to be connected with anything from the false systems anyway. Like, why would we want to be? And I think that's another reason why this year it made it really, really much more powerful for me to say, you know, no, I'm just not interested. I'm not saying happy Valentine's Day to random people and stuff. And hey, you know, if you enjoyed your day and you had a wonderful time and that's what you love to do, then that's all that really matters, right? When we look at things in a deeper way, it's not so that you'll what's the word? I'm not showing you something in a deeper way to make you do exactly whatever this says. It's more to be more aware of the old systems at play, how things are designed to separate us, to bring in certain periods of the year where we're flatter, or we're in an anxious energy, or when we're in a reactive energy, or when we're in a proving energy where hidden resentment can lie, and how we've been forced into these cycles for so long in so many ways. Even Christmas, you know, I just don't want to celebrate Christmas anymore. I'll still party, right? Maybe I won't do it on the 25th, right? But I'll still have fun, right? There's nothing against that, but it's not going to be because of that or something that I'm told to do. Do I love putting up a Christmas tree or whatever? Sure, with all the lights and all that sort of stuff. Okay, that's fun. It looks great, looks pretty, you know, but it doesn't have to be just for that, you know. So, or to cause pressure or to make us feel like we have to go and send out all these Christmas cards and oh, and everyone's panicked. I don't want any of it. I don't want a part of it. I just want to chill out and enjoy, or I won't worry about it. You see? And you're giving yourself permission to have release, to have a life that you want, to have peace. You know, you're saying no to anything that steals your peace, because it steals your power every single time. If you want to do something and you enjoy holidays or whatever, then there's nothing wrong with that, because it's something that you enjoy and love. But if it's something that is felt that it has to happen, and this is anybody I talk to around Christmas, that for them it has to happen, that they have to visit their family, they have to visit the in-laws, they have to pick up, and I've done all this over the years, picking up kids from here and taking them there, and half day here and half day there, and gaga, just ridiculous when it's not what you want to do. You just want to stay home and relax. You know, you don't want to be driving all around town. Sometimes people do, okay. But if something is making you feel pressured, the point of this video is to go without it. And who cares? You don't owe anybody an explanation for having a peaceful life. It may be if someone wants to learn, then you can explain, hey, well, I'm not included in all this stuff. I don't care. And then there is no competition anymore. And love should be a daily thing between you and a partner anyway. And if it's not, that might be something that you need to work on. But it's private, is the point. So I just wanted to say, tomorrow we go into the year of the fire horse. I will be talking about this and also the eclipse. On Sunday, I'm doing a webinar. If you're interested, the links will be below. And then the following week, I'm starting a 4-week live body weight reset flame infusion. So this is going to be a first time live doing this, and it will be something that will be available later as a course. But if you want to do it live with me, I'll put the links below for you to read some more and really figure out if it's what you want to do. Yeah, so I hope everybody just had a nice, calm and quiet weekend and did what you wanted to do. No pressure. And until the next time, sending you many, many blessings and wonderful thoughts, and bye for now.